Good evening. It is 5 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and call the August 11th meeting to order. May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Snipes, I move to amend the agenda to defer item 8B until the board votes per policy FF on the name of the new school.
Second.
So 8B is the Spring Hill Middle School logo, and I don't believe the board's ever voted for that name. And so I think we should wait until we can, and we may well vote for that name, but I just think we should wait and follow the policy. And I've got something about this. I've got the email back when I asked this. I've got the email saying that we did vote on it on July 21st, but the vote on July 21st was for the adoption of an updated educational structure and redistricting plan. It wasn't to change the name. So I'm going to put this in the minutes.
I did send that meeting date because I thought that was the meeting date. Amy or Dr. Ross, do you happen to know the specific meeting? Because I thought that was the date that you gave me, but if I'm wrong, please correct me.
The last board meeting, per Exhibit L, the specific language of the motion had, if you look at the exhibit, it says Spring Hill Middle School, previously Chapin Middle School. Same thing. I mean, that would be true of Crossroads, correct? Because all of these were named within Exhibit L of that meeting. It passed 4-2.
And that was at the meeting that she's referencing?
Yes, ma'am.
And I did not include Crossroads in my motion because the name Crossroads is not changing. We could, somebody else could amend my motion, but the purpose of the vote was not the exhibit. The purpose of the vote, and I'll read the wording again, was I make a motion to approve the adoption of the updated educational structure and redistricting plan for 26-27. And if you recall, and it does say as shown in Exhibit L, but that doesn't say the name of the school. It says the purpose of is the updated. And I just think as a board, we need to be careful that we follow policy, and policy is there for a reason. I and at least one other board member have previously expressed concerns with this name because of the connotations that it may give people, given that our high school has the exact same name and it's a magnet school. And like I said, we may arrive back at this exact same name, but I think it's important to have the discussion and have the vote.
May I say something? We have been presenting this name for over 2 years. At no time did we talk about not using Spring Hill Middle School. I think we should refer to Board Policy FF in its entirety, which says the superintendent determines the process in which the name is brought and the board votes. The superintendent determined the process. It's outlined in Exhibit L. It passed 4-2. The board policy also says that at any time, without any reason, the board may change the name of a school. I think for 2 years, these schools have been planning very diligently to move forward. The vote passed 4-2. I hope that we would move forward in accepting the vote or the will of the board.
Mm-hmm.
But the school has to, and the district has to listen to the will of the board. The will of the board was to move forward with what was outlined by the superintendent per the policy.
Mr. Satterfield.
Policy also says that the schools are named geographically. Spring Hill Middle School is in Spring Hill, South Carolina. And so with that, I lead to the will of the board.
Mr. Satterfield.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question. I know it says board spotlight for the school, the name of the school, and the logo. They're intertwined. I mean, you don't have one without the other. And I know my experience in the past, and you all can share it with me if you have any other opinions on this, but my experience in the past is that we've always gone, we had a group of parents and teachers and administrators that get together and have a committee, and they come up with that process, the name of the school or and the logo as well. Did they go through that process with this?
They did, in Exhibit 8A and 8B, they're gonna talk about it, and talk about how they arrived at this.
Dr. Ross, that name, if you go back to even the very first proposed bond referendum, that name, suggested name was on there. And I was on the board at the time, and we were never told that a committee had come up with the name. And I'm going to take exception that I have said more than once, and Ms. Hines also said, that we wanted to talk about the name because we had some current concerns. And that's all I'm asking here, is that we have an opportunity to talk about the name. I mean, it is, in my opinion, it's going to cause confusion, and that's what we talked about years ago, was that it is going to make people think that if they move into the Spring Hill Middle School attendance zone, that their child is going to Spring Hill High School.
And I'll say this, we have to listen to the board, and I'm listening for the board. The board voted 4-2 on Exhibit L. That's what we're moving forward with. Board policy also says that if there are confusions in the community and the district from parents or community members, those are referenced to the administration, and the administration gets the opportunity to set those forth before it comes to the board. That's in the board conduct policy. I don't remember ever getting any reference from a parent who's been confused about Spring Hill Middle School. You're fed into the middle school from the elementary schools. The structure shows where you're going to be fed in. We have choice of all of our high schools. So I think we have a vote. It moved forward 4-2. These groups have planned to be here tonight to talk about their development of those logos. So I would support that we continue as outlined in 8A and B.
All right, we have, Kevin, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ross, and I agree. And I think there's room to interpret FF in other ways. One, I believe that we have, for the last 2 years since I've been on the board, continuously voted on that name as part of the overall packages. Nothing in the policy says it has to have a specific motion with the specific purpose of the motion regarding the name. The policy further is actually under a larger policy that is titled the Facilities Expansion Program. This is not an expansion, it is not a new school, it is merely a change in the name of an existing school. And so I would argue that it may not even fall under that policy, theoretically. But assuming that it does, I think we're very well established to have voted on this name multiple times. Furthermore, I agree with Mr. Satterfield. Simply by our vote tonight, we're doing the exact same thing by voting on, or we're not voting on it, but we're hearing it. So this, we're fine. I think we're not in conflict with the policy. I even question if the policy applies. I think the administration has followed their procedures, and let me ask you, Dr. Ross, you guys would be the ones that deal with any confusion, any fallout from that. I've also brought up concerns about the Rich Lex name because it's called Rich Lex, but our email is Lex Rich, and so there's confusion. But ultimately, it depends on you. Are you prepared to deal with the confusion? And if you are, then I'm fine with it.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to call for the vote. Before I do, I want to say, I think this is one of those things where two things can be true. I can't speak to Ms. Huddle's comment about Ms. Hines because I don't think I was on the board when y'all first had that conversation, so I wasn't present. I can say that when we took this vote, I know that Ms. Huddle made comments before about not being a fan of the name, but I don't think that we ever had a full-on discussion about whether or not we should change it. Ms. Huddle did reach out to me, just for the record, about this concern and making sure that we were following the policy. I did talk with Ward because I wanted to be sure we were following the policy. And he did say that the policy is clear in that if it's a new school, we have to do this convening of the committee and the board and all that, but it doesn't necessarily specify if we're renaming a current school. So it would come down to, obviously it just comes down to our vote. Anyway, that being said, we have an amendment to the agenda on the floor. All of those in favor? All opposed? And the motion fails 4-3. Back to the original motion on the floor to approve the agenda. All those in
I
favor?
have another amendment to, I move to amend the agenda to move line item 26 and line item 27 from selected employment items Exhibit A from executive session to the public session, because those are one is a new position without a name, and the other are new stipends without names. So I don't believe those constitute confidential personnel matters, and those discussions should be held in public.
Second.
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, I mean,
Ross,
the
I'll let
line
you know.
item, and since there's no name on it, I'm gonna say what it is. It's for a bond project manager, and there's no name on it. And that's line item 26. And line item 27 is for stipends for Victory, South Carolina facilitators, and there's no names on it. And I think the FOIA law allows you to do personnel matters in an executive session because they're related to individual people. I don't think it is appropriate to approve a new position or new stipends in executive session that are not particular to a person.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't see 27 in my packet.
It's on the very last
Yeah,
page.
it's on the third.
It skips a page.
Oh, okay. My second question is, you said 26 is a new position?
Well, it says it's a repurpose of a position, but it's still not a personnel matter. It's a position. So I don't think it's appropriate for that to be in executive session. I think it should be in public.
It will have to be voted on in public, correct?
Correct, but I think the discussion should be in public.
So Ms. Huddles, what you're asking is that we vote on approval of those positions.
I'm asking for those two items to be moved to public discussion,
I
not to be
understand that, but I'm
discussed.
saying you would like the board in public to vote on those approval of those positions.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can do it tonight, to be honest, because under FOIA, I think you have to put anything that's an action item has to be on the agenda in advance in public, so that the public has an opportunity to participate in the process.
We have repurposed many positions before. This does entitle personnel decisions. I think we should hold this to executive session. You're more than welcome to talk about anything in executive session. You can break your executive session privilege, but the administration asks for action on this.
Well, the one concern I think that, and I understand Ms. Huddle's line of thinking, I believe, but one concern I would be if we delay it until the next, if there is a delay, do those positions, is it imperative for them to be filled ASAP?
Yes, we feel like we're behind schedule already on these. There are some personnel matters that we need to discuss. I think we have used repurposing many times. It has to be approved.
Sure.
So there is no vehicle for the superintendent to, if I have to get them board approved and they involve personnel decisions and issues, you can always break your confidentiality of executive session and open session. But if you have to take an action, you cannot take that in executive session. It has to be open.
But we can have the discussion in
You can have the
executive session.
discussion, but to remove
Okay.
it from executive session without knowing what this is about, I think
Sure.
it doesn't give us that flexibility.
I guess I have a question. We approve position changes as part of the budget in open session. So why couldn't we do that with this position?
And I'm saying again, there is no, and this is kind of why talking to the superintendent about the pack is important. There are issues that we need to discuss about personnel in executive session. We need to be able to do that. You're very welcome to come in open session and have a full discussion about what we talked in executive session. But we handle personnel items under Personnel Exhibit A. For the history I've been here, we've handled employment items under Exhibit A.
We have, but they've always had names with them. Have always been about certain people, like,
Unless they have been reclassifications of that position, we're changing it from one, and I guess we're having an open session right now. We're changing from one account function to another. Some superintendents are granted the opportunity to do that. I'm not. So
Well,
I need
Do you have a
permission to do
question?
this.
Well, I have a comment I hope that will solve this little issue, and that is that we can still have the discussion when we come back in
Which is what
public
Dr.
session.
Ross just said.
Then you can make the motion that you
Yes.
just made with regards to those two positions.
That's correct.
So we have an amendment to the agenda on the floor. All those.
I'll withdraw my
Oh.
amendment.
Okay, all right. So that takes us back to the original motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor? All those opposed, and the motion carries 7-0. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to enter executive session to consider the following: selected employment items Exhibit A for action, selected employment items Exhibit B, information only, contractual matter regarding Graduation Alliance, Exhibit C, contractual matter regarding professional development services, Exhibit D, legal advice regarding the sale of district real estate, legal advice relating to a data security incident.
Second.
All in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. We'll adjourn to executive session.